with details on WWE contracts being offered during a recent tryout and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Talking about the National Wrestling Alliance's role in the pro wrestling world, owner of the company Billy Corgan said this on the Kurt Angle Show. It's not that hard. We inside the bubble can fight about all this stuff, talk about this stuff, but the general public, more people have turned off professional wrestling in the last 10 years than the previous 50 combined. Dave Meltzer will probably run a stat to tell me that I'm wrong. All I'm saying is wrestling deserves to be a mainstream part of the culture. What has happened, and I believe this is at the root of the WME acquisition of WWE, they are going to bring wrestling back to the mainstream. It's not a bad thing. Little kids who don't know anything about the smart mark stuff need to be able to just go to a show. Let's not lose the childish innocence of sometimes seeing a good house show match between two great workers. You tell a good story might be the difference of that kid becoming a lifelong wrestling fan. Here I am 45 years later talking about Jerry Blackwell. Something stuck with me. Let's not lose sight of that vibe in the business. Everybody in the business is valuable. Right now, Al Snow is getting over with OVW and wrestlers on Netflix. Great. We want more people working. We want more people getting over. If the NWA is part of that rising tide, great. That's why you won't see me cutting any promos about WWE like a lot of other people do for cheap heat. You can read the math their way you want it. WWE has never done anything but treat me right. WWE as a business welcomes the NWA in the wrestling ecosystem. If WWE wanted to mess with me, you think they couldn't? Why is WWE cool with the NWA? Because we're trying to run a business the right way. We're being respectful, and we understand we're the little engine that could. You don't think Billy Corgan cutting a promo on Vince McMahon couldn't get me a bunch of free clickbait? You don't see me running that business. Let's have some perspective here. On the Power Alphas podcast, Lacey Evans said this about joining WWE. This is so funny. You want to talk about freaking hustlers? I took a pay cut to even be in WWE, which is wild because I am thinking I want to use my platform, right? That hustling mentality where I'm addicted, so much so that it was my main goal in WWE. Explaining why he has no interest in returning to NXT, Tomasso Ciampa said on Insight with Chris Van Vliet, performance-wise, I don't think so. I think there's a door that's very open for guys like myself and Johnny Gargano because of loyalty, because of the way we handle ourselves outside of the ring, professionalism and stuff like that. There's a spot producing, coaching, something. Yeah, I'm just not done performing. Like physically, I know my body sometimes just tells me like, hey, stop. But really, mentally, I'm not anywhere close. So like that wouldn't. Before I would do something like that, the option would be, well, no, it's the Ring of Honor option. It's the, I think I can do this thing that's really special. I'm gonna go do it. Yeah, like, please give me the opportunity to do it here, but if not, I'm still gonna go do it. For a health update on an NXT star, Dave Meltzer wrote in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Jakara Jackson suffered an injury believed to be a broken wrist, and that eliminated her from the NXT Breakout Tournament. Taking to X, this was said by Ringside News regarding rumors of WWE's plans for revamping championship belt designs. There is a report going around that WWE did some test screening for new title belts before WWE Raw in Oklahoma City. We can confirm that this did not happen. We reached out to confirm that WWE was testing out two different designs, and we were told that it is 100% fake news. Reacting to reports of Triple H having full control over the creative process in WWE, former WCW president Eric Bischoff said on his Strictly Business podcast, I applaud the decision. Just because I applaud the decision, it doesn't mean anything less than a tremendous amount of respect for what Vince McMahon has accomplished over the past 40 years. mentioning what she believes WWE makes per minute on television. Former star for the company CJ Perry told Fightful, if it's Tony Khan or if it's Vince McMahon, at the end of the day, they're the directors and the producers and the CEOs of this story. It's at least $100,000 per minute that they're on television. Maybe more now at this point, but I remember in 2020 hearing, I believe from TJ and Natty, that Vince said that it's $100,000 a minute to be on USA. So I think again, this is where savage business comes into it. Are you worth that $100,000 a minute? This is a business at the end of the day. So Vince thought that was good business. It would be naive of any of us to think he doesn't know what he's doing. Yes, we're younger and we have a youthful opinion to bring to the table, but he has years of experience. So look, it got me to the biggest contract I ever got in my life, and I'm very thankful for that. I think that again, what the Bobby Lashley story taught me is scandal sells. So it doesn't matter, it still sells. People might hate it, who still made WWE a lot of money. Like our YouTube videos made them a lot of money. This is a business at the end of the day. If it doesn't translate into sales, if it doesn't translate into subscriptions, ticket sales, all of that viewership, then who cares? I'm just hired talent. We're storytellers. We all know there's been a ton of affairs and love triangles. Accusing Vince McMahon of ruining his suits during his time in WWE, former producer for the company Pat Buck told Sam Roberts, go to WWE, I had a lot of suits already, and you know, I'm wearing them through the rotation, and there was one time in particular I wore a suit and during the meeting, apparently Vince McMahon told one of the writers, Pat dresses too flashy. Word got back to me, not through that person, but like, hey, letting you know Vince thinks you dress too flashy, and at that time I was wearing kind of a dial back navy blue pinstripe suit, so now I have two choices. I can either show up with boring suits, or I gotta amp it up, so I went that direction. I'm gonna find the most unique looks or kind of go out there and add some color to it, and I chose that path, so which did lead me going through a table on Raw for really no reason, and I knew Sheamus and Drew McIntyre were gonna do that. It kind of made sense, but what I did notice, they were trying to rip the suit before they did that, and I went, I think there's a bounty on this suit. Again, this is during the COVID, not even the Thunderdome era yet, it was Performance Center era, and Vince McMahon had an idea of kind of like, let's have a suit out there that Jax can throw around, and I believe the first person pitched was Chris Park. He's a big boy, maybe it doesn't mix very well, and then, well, I don't know if that really, well, there's Pat, okay, sign me up, I'll do it. The first time it happened with, I think, Nia and Shayna Baszler, yeah, Shayna was involved too, and she ripped my suit, and then we had to do a second take, and I went, I don't have a suit. I didn't pack two suits with me, so then I just had my dress shirt on. That got ripped off, whatever, and then she came back and then did it again, but yep, there's been, I think, a love-hate, which is ironic because if anyone dresses loud, it's the chairman of the board, but I didn't back down. I kept amping him up, and you know, trying the best I can. Going over the segment from SmackDown and the plans for WarGames at Survivor Series, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis' program was intended to be a reference to WWE's plans to run WarGames, which was the plan as of a few weeks ago. We're working to find out if that's still the active plan. On the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast, Nikki Bella said this about departing WWE and the legal letter she and her sister received from the company regarding their name change. I think it's different for men than women. There was never even a conversation. I think a lot of us, we thought, oh, maybe there will be a conversation because we have such a huge brand, and we were actually making WWE a lot of money. So we actually thought there was going to be a conversation of, okay, you guys aren't re-signing. Let's talk about the name. Maybe when you do future projects, we take a percentage, you keep the name. I'll be honest, I got a lawyer letter 4 hours before my contract was ending. They were seizing it all. I keep that letter in my office so I can always see it, and just know that as I enter this new chapter, it's like I get to see what wasn't even talked about with something I built for 20 years. But I know that I have the power as a woman to build something else for the next 20 years. It was upsetting because we were attached, but also I get a business like, hey, this is our platform. I get it. I'm very understanding in that way. That is their IP. But we would have continued to have built that if there was a talk. Revealing those that were offered WWE contracts during a recent tryout session at the Performance Center, it was noted that now sources have told Bodyslam.net that 3 talents who featured in the tryouts will be reporting back to the Performance Center in January after they finish up their remaining independent bookings. Brogan Finley, Lucky Ali, and Jay Maliki have all been offered deals with the promotion. As for the remaining tryout participants, this does not mean they have not been signed, and Bodyslam.net is currently working to confirm the status of the other names. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.